Alright, hey everyone. Sorry I don't have a webcam up, but I wanted to make this little video about Mishigami. I got some friends and family who don't quite know what it is or what it's about. Here is the landing page here, the home page. So essentially it's a 1,121 mile self-supported race around Lake Michigan here. We're going to have mostly paved roads. I think there's going to be some gravel. One of the fun parts here, there's going to be a ferry crossing. Last year they were allowed to take the public bus across the bridge. We'll get the email and see what they say about that, but if not, then it's the ferry crossing here. Let's see. So the rules are basically Mishigami challenges a ultra cycler race in the Midwest around Lake Michigan. No prizes, no trophy. I guess technically no winners, but the main thing is you must complete it, the full course, under your own power from start to finish. Be solo, no caches, predetermined stash spots around the lake. The whole race is done on one single stage, just a ongoing clock ticking away as you start until you finish. We're going to be having GPS trackers, so you are going to be able to dot watch. I will put a link to this website, which should have the link to the dot watching when that becomes available. I will also be making another little 30-second video with that information closer to the race, so that way everybody has that. You ride underneath your own power, make sure you're safe, know the laws, all that good stuff. And don't be a cheat. Let's see. So with that, we have our registration page. So we can go click on this. This will send you to registration page, and we can take a look on who's registered. So this year I'm doing the full race. So there's 24 of us so far. I think registration ends shortly. I don't think there's much more time for registration. Looks like there's a total of 24 of us racing this year. A handful of us from Illinois, which is always good to see. Looks like a couple from Wisconsin, so that's good. We got a nice big field. It'll be quite fun. Also, for those who care, I do believe if you go back to registration, let's see here, you can purchase a shirt if you want to, and that is for people who are not racing either. So basically anybody can pick up this shirt. I do believe they're quite expensive here. I think they want to say they're $40 here. I knew I saw that somewhere. So that's up to you guys if you want to do that. They're pretty slick, pretty cool. I won't be getting one. It's a little bit out of my price range here. But all right, so if we go back to the website here, I think they talk a little bit more about the shirt. It's made by an artist, semi-local here. So that's great to see. Let's see, we got the spirit. If you go on this page here, talks about kind of, the Lake Michigan as its whole and all that good stuff. So last year's results are here. Tim won it in 4 days and 14 hours and 59 minutes. I do believe that's the fastest time so far for this race. If we go back here, fastest known time, which would be Tim. So that's a good time to beat. Hard time to beat. So hopefully we can do that this year. I am going to be going over the route here in more detail in probably in a couple of minutes. Go over some of the terrain and not so much strategy. Don't want to give too much of that away. I can kind of tell you what I saw last year, how it broke down, and where some of the pinch points are. I can go over that a little bit. Going back to the main website here, take a look at it. There's also the Mishigami, which is basically half the course, and that's kind of fun because they kind of race and then all wait for the ferry to cross the halfway through the lake here. So that's a fun one to watch too. That one's usually, you can get that done in like a day and a half. Let's see, there's also the photo page, so it's fun to go back on this website here and take a look at the gallery if you have time. You can see a lot of the riders here. To go down to view more, and it'll open up all the pictures here. So we got some nice photographs of the event. A lot of different type of bike builds going on. And I believe this is maybe everybody. So from the mini and the full, I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't there. I had a scratch early due to some personal things. So this would be my attempt number 2 at this. Hopefully it goes well. So we got all sorts of different bikes and builds and stuff like that, which is good. Okay, we're going to take a look at the map now. This is subject to change. Probably unlikely to, but it might. So this is the whole course around the lake here. We're going to be starting in Chicago at Fulton Market, going up to the bike trail and then heading north. There's not a whole lot to say about this course. It's relatively flat. Looks like it can have some punchy climbs, but if you highlight them and zoom out, like this is over 43.1 miles. Max grade's 3.7, average is 0.1%. So it's not a monumental climb. It's a pretty flat course. Even some of these steeper peaks here, again, are over 8.5 miles. Max grade is 7.4, average is negative 0.1. I'm not thinking it's going to be too difficult. And as far as strategy goes, I kind of look at this as in about 50 to 100 mile increments. You're going from town to town to town. It's not super stressful. There's a few spots that are a little bit more barren than others. Most of it is getting a little barren when you are up in the UP area here, but there's still some gas stations along the way. It's not that big of a deal. I'm imagining this gravel road is going to be a little barren, but again, it's a pretty short clip here. So if I just put the dot here, it's at 486 miles, and then if we end and get back over to the tarmac, it's 490. So it's not super big gaps everywhere. I did notice one on the Michigan side. I'm trying to find it here. That seemed rather distant. It was only like 38 miles. This might be it here. So I'm going to my strategy is to segment this down into 50 to 75 to 100 mile increments, and then filling up as I need to, since we're basically just riding from town to town to town. That's kind of the strategy for myself. Not sure what everybody else is going to be doing. My biggest concern is getting through these towns, to be honest with you. My Wahoo tends to have a problem, like especially when I go through Racine. It tends to have a problem just not working. I don't know if it's a GPS thing, but I always tend to get lost, especially when I punch through this area here. It just stops working. It never fails. So I'm hoping that I don't have those type of problems. I don't know if I need to shorten the amount of map data per cluster on my Wahoo, if that makes sense. So instead of doing 150 mile increment, it'd be like a 100 mile increment for the route. Maybe that's part of the solution. It could just be in a bad area that the GPS does not want to work through Racine. I'm almost certain there's going to be other spots that are going to be problematic. I fear most of it's going to be way up north. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe when we start going through the wooded area. So I don't really have a backup plan yet for a second GPS device. I'm going to probably try to source that out. Using my cell phone might be an option. Just downloading the Rise with GPS map and using that if my Wahoo decides to fail. I'm going to be bringing extra batteries, so I'm not too concerned with running out of power, especially up on the northern side. I'll make sure that I'm fully topped off with battery power. So it's I think once you break this ride down into multiple increments, it's not going to be too difficult. If you just think about it going from town to town. I don't really have much of a strategy yet. I may do an update later with exactly how I'm going to do. I really think I'll be filling up. Uh, I'll be filling up supplies about every 100 miles is pretty much my limit with how I'm packing my bag out. Maybe 75. It is going to be in June, so the heat is going to be most likely problematic. If the weather's good and the heat's not too terrible, I can push farther. But I'm having a feeling that the June weather is going to be pretty hot. I was looking at the forecast already for early June, and it's already in the 87s. So I'm guessing it's going to be a lot hotter than that come, June 12th, but we'll see. So when you're on the Mishigami website, if you want to play around with this, you just click on this map here. It'll bring you automatically with an account or not an account. Anybody can access this and just kind of poke around and see. And then when you zoom in and you want to check something else out, so like let's say you find, I don't know, this company here, you can click on it and go view on Google Maps and it'll bring you up to their business page. This is probably a bad example. Didn't really have anything on that one. But you get the idea. So you can poke around, have fun. If you see anything with the checkered line, that just means off-road or probably paved bike trail, something like that. Now, I do know Wisconsin has a couple of trails that you have to have a pass to be on. I wonder if we're going to have to deal with any of that on the road. So I guess bringing some petty cash would be helpful in case you have to put it in one of those boxes. I doubt anybody would be checking for it, but just probably just keep that in mind. Some of these bike trails may be paid to access. I'm not sure if they are. I've seen them before. So my most exciting part is going to be up in this northern section. Hopefully I get the nice experience of just being out of middle of nowhere, and then taking a ferry across will be pretty fun. I feel like the segment that I watched last year was basically the first one's to Chicago, or the first one's from Chicago to Green Bay. Held a pretty good lead, and then I think the next little segmented race is from Green Bay to the Mackinac Island. And then from there, it kind of splits apart a little bit more. And then you start to break away about this side. It's what I saw. I wasn't keeping a super close eye on. It's just kind of what I observed. All in all, should be a good time. I am going to be planning a ride from Chicago up to Door County and back. Should be around 500 miles. That's going to be testing out some of my strategies and my equipment. So stay tuned for that. I might do a video vlog style for that. Not sure. See if I can get my GoPro to function properly. But other than that, I will fill you guys in later. Thanks.